how difficult it is in the F&B space right now. But in your spot, you see some players that are doing well, you see some players that are not, you see some models that are really thriving, some that are struggling. What do you think is the state of the play in the industry at the moment?
Then the high-end restaurant, which is our sushi restaurants, and doing well. Our Italian restaurant, which is more to casual, the restaurant is every year we getting less traffic. Everyone now is trying to be more competitive in terms of the price because they found that the consumer is hesitate to spend money at the moment.
What advice would you give to those starting out to replicate some of the success of the franchises and businesses you've been involved in?
You handle a lot of manpower in the outlets. So what are the challenges you are facing? How are you seeing the manpower environment evolving in the recent years, especially post-COVID?
So my friend, the soba restaurant, he's running with the two staff. When it's super busy, I was like, wow, why you guys not hiring? So they want to hire, but if you get hired, you not get enough profit, right? So it can't really pay off.
Any strategies you've seen work that people can respond to that challenge of limited manpower, limited ability to get more staff?
Yeah, so nowadays a lot of restaurants implementing the QR order system, which is able to cut down a lot of the service crew who don't need to take an order, right? So what they need is just the chef who's going to cook the dish. Sometimes the dish also can be done by the AI.
Things that people overlook when they're scaling their business, going to the next outlet. And tips or advice you have?
I think when you scale beyond a certain stage, it's critical to look at efficiencies that you can gain through certain strategies.
Yuto, Ray, what are your thoughts? You've probably all seen examples where somebody's really passionate about their brand, their concept. They really believe in it and they've had some initial success. But what have you seen over the years, though, that tells you what kind of businesses, what kind of platforms are scale businesses and what are passion projects?
What I usually joke about with my staff is don't go open a cafe after your banking career because then you'll lose all your money.
All right. Okay. We're really excited to have Yuto with us here today to share a little bit about the latest developments, trends, challenges too, I'm sure, in the F&B space here in Singapore. Yuto is a really well-experienced veteran in the F&B space, number of senior leadership positions with well-known F&B brands and outlets here in Singapore. So Yuto, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So I worked in Singapore for about, and then I started work with the Provido Singapore. It's a cafe. We do the cafe in Singapore, and then that was my first job after graduating from the university in Japan. And then I was started from doing the cash sharing, and every year gradually I step up, going to the supervisor and the manager. At the end of the day, I approached to overseeing overall operation in the company. And then at the same time, I was looking after the restaurant in Singapore, to Italian restaurant, sushi restaurant, and then the French bistro. Lately is the wine distribution company, which is do all the wine wholesale in Singapore market, basically mean to B2B. And then now been in this kind of industry for about going to 11 years.
Wow, that's a really broad experience, Yuto. You've seen almost all the different aspects and sides of the business, so I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting conversation. Thanks for making the time to join us today. So I'm Ivan and my colleague Ray from VIVOS are on the line. We've been supporting a number of investors and entrepreneurs in the F&B space, and we brought together this roundtable discussion today to dig into the latest happenings, the latest trends, sentiment in the industry. So I'm sure we're going to have a really interesting conversation. I guess let's jump to it quickly, Yuto, because I guess everybody's talking about how difficult it is in the F&B space right now. But in your spot, you see some players that are doing well, you see some players that are not, you see some models that are really thriving, some that are struggling. What do you think is the state of the play in the industry at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm looking after the few kind of restaurants restaurant, and then kind of the range of from the high end to the casual and then semi-fine. All right, and then the high end restaurant, which is our sushi restaurant, is kind of doing well. But on the other side, the casual restaurant and then semi-fine is kind of struggle. The semi-fine dining restaurant we just recently opened, so probably we need some time to publish to the Singapore market and need some time to bring the traffic in. But then our Italian restaurant, which is more to casual, the restaurant is every year we getting less traffic. And then at the same time, the cost of the goods is increasing in terms of the transportation cost is going up, and the rental, obviously, and then the revenue is not really picking up to compare to those cost of the equipment. So it's tough market. So everyone now is trying to be more competitive in terms of the price, because they found that consumer is hesitate to spend money at the moment. A lot of fact, I think, because of the outside the country. Even for myself, I went to Japan last month and I went to the very good Japanese restaurant, but then it costs you really super cheap, right? Even the drinks also. Yeah, I think everyone is like trying to save money and they want to spend somewhere outside. That's why I can feel from the current market. So we try to be more competitive in terms of the price. We see the market, how much people are looking at how much people want to spend money for lunch, dinner, Yeah, it's a tough.
Yeah, I see.
Can we, sorry, just to cut briefly, Yuto's resolution is not as good. Jitesh, are you there?
Yeah.
Is the resolution for Yuto okay? Because briefly it was quite blur. Okay. That's good. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, Ray, I've used the Riverside before. Sometimes it shows up bad on our end, but they're capturing it.
Sorry to disrupt. Let's continue.
Same as what you see. Sure.
Yeah, we'll just cut out that part.
So, Yuto, you've also been part of some really successful businesses that have grown up, and I'm sure we have some people listening in today who got their dreams of their F&B empire and their business that they're going to grow. What advice would you give to those starting out to replicate some of the success of the franchises and businesses you've been involved in?
Wow, in Singapore. Wow, it's tough time, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, if you got some ideas from the rest of the region as well, I'm sure we'd love to hear what works in other places as well.
Yeah.
So my friend, there's a soba restaurant in the Tanjong Park, and then one at the Raffles Place. He says his business doing well. So the soba is kind of a more healthy option. I believe nowadays, especially in Singapore, they need to put the grade for the drinks, or the drinks also, and I heard that will be applying to the food as well. So we might need to put some set of this the grade into the food option, and also Singapore government trying to get the consumer to look into those healthy option. What you eat is what you build your body and all, right? So I'm not sure that one of the reasons why also the soba restaurants that he says is doing well. I think maybe that's one of the reasons also a lot of people stop drinking much compared to before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see the sales is, especially for the alcohol, it's dropping. And then definitely for the grade mark will affect the business as well. Let's say, whatever you have like a C or D, the grade, and then definitely will affect your business. We all start looking to those rank, isn't it? Even myself also, this is got C, so maybe I try not to get the C and I try to get the D,
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know what I can advise the people who want to do the business in F&B in Singapore, right?
Maybe to hire you as a start for your consultancy.
Don't know, but definitely you need to look into the market, the market that is there any competitors around you, or what's the price range? I believe people are looking to pay for what they're worth it. They're looking for the value. So you need to definitely provide the service, a good service for sure, and then definitely the quality. When it comes to the revenue, the profit, they're all trying to cut down the costs as much as possible, right? But then sometimes that we can't cut the quality of the people, quality of the goods. That is really important. What you can try to look into is like the rental, some sort of the help from the government, And then probably one of the reasons why our sushi restaurant is doing well is we really keep the quality there. And even though the cost of goods is increased for like last few years, but we never increased our price, Even the drinks revenue dropped massive. but we have more traffic now. So we are happy, we don't need to make money from the alcohol. We rather people come to our restaurant. So we need to think how we can bring in the traffic.
That's interesting. So you've seen that more value focus, giving more value to the customers, swallowing some of the price rises. You've seen more customers coming through the door and get the revenue back.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
All right.
I would like to hear a little bit about your views on manpower, F&B manpower. Understand previously as an operations manager, you handled a lot of manpower in the outlets. So what are the challenges you are facing? How are you seeing the manpower environment evolving in the recent years, especially post-COVID?
So yeah, I think the F&B industry has kind of increased the revenue for one stop after the COVID, because everyone has got stuck in the house, so they kind of, after the open the gate, they all happy to spend money, right? So the F&B start getting the revenue, and then when you get the revenue, you want to pay more to people, right? So of course the employee also wants more money, so increase all the people's pay, the basic. And then so once the revenue is not getting there, that is going to come back to company, and then we realize that why we paying that much to the people now. But that is the market already. So kind of we have a high labor market in Singapore, which is hard to drop, because everyone don't want to drop your pay, right? So that's kind of part that is a struggle at the moment, I believe. But yeah.
Do you think the supply of manpower is stabilizing as more F&B are reducing their manpower strength, a lot of the F&B shutting their doors? Or do you still see that there is still a big shortage of manpower, and then the manpower cost will continue to rise?
There is always of the manpower everywhere in the restaurant. So my friend, the soba restaurant, he's running with the 2 staff. Even it's super busy, I was like, wow, why you guys not hiring? Say they want to hire, but if you get hired, you not get enough profit, right? So it can't really pay off. So the labor is really kicking the business. Wow. Yeah, I think
any strategies you've seen that have allowed people to kind of respond to that challenge?
I'm sorry again?
Any strategies you've seen work that people can respond to that challenge of limited manpower, limited ability to get more staff?
So nowadays, a lot of restaurants implementing the QR order system, which is able to cut down a lot of the service crew who don't need to take an order, right? So what they need is just the chef who's going to cook the dish. Sometimes the dish also can be done by the AI. So that is kind of the solution, might be able to cut down the labor cost.
Not work. Many of your brands you've been experienced with are quite high-end or fine dining. You've been able to deploy things like that even in the fine dining end of things? Or?
Yeah, I don't think so. So what you pay has to be value, right? So whatever you pay in expensive, then you need to get that much of the value. So it's a really different market if you want to implement all those QR ordering or AI system, and then might be more into casual or the easy everyday dining. So it really depends, I think. But so far, all of our restaurant not implementing the QR order system yet. But it's maybe what we might look into one of the a solution to cut down the labor.
Okay.
Let's try and dig into some of the secrets of the industry and some of the insights that maybe people don't know about. What kind of mistakes have you seen people make that you've learned over the years that people could learn from?
Mistake is from the employer, is it?
Yeah, I guess the operator, the owners of the establishment, the brand.
Yeah, I think what I mentioned is we increase the labor. It's just because of the one-time revenue, one time or maybe few months revenue. We can't be really adjusting the benchmark just because of that. So we learn from there, and then we implement the other restaurant, it's not increasing the basic much. We are applying the incentives or the bonus to give them back some money. Now, of course, as a employee, we are willing to pay whatever we have a profit, right? But of course, if we don't have the profit, how can we increase the pay and all, right? So they all to understand, but of course, employees they just want the money, right? So it's very hard for us to, let them understand, it's not that we don't want to pay, we want to pay, but if we don't have their money in pocket, how are we going to pay money, right?
Yeah, I can understand. Anything you've seen that works well in trying to align staff and owners when you're trying to grow your business?
Yeah, trying to explain to the staff. So far we are doing the incentive scheme, bonus scheme to the restaurant, and then I hope motivating the employee at the same time.
So this is a little bit like bonus share, profit sharing for the scheme.
Yeah, I'll say it's about the profit sharing, yeah, because they all need to have something, right? If you work more, you can get something, right? Can't be if you work more, so they're still the same pay, then of course they're not gonna motivate enough, especially on F&B,
There's always that question as well when you get your model working and you want to try to scale it, right? So you've got your one outlet, your friend you mentioned in Tanjung Pagar, and they're thinking about going to the next outlet and the next outlet. And you've been involved in some big chains and growth businesses in Singapore over the years. What do you think is what are those ideas or challenges or issues that you think F&B founders or owners sometimes overlook when they're trying to scale their successful one outlet to multiple outlets?
Okay, I think that, yeah, especially for one of the cafe that I used to work, and then we expanded like every year, every shop. We opened every year one shop. That was too fast to do. And then we really didn't stabilize the internal operation, logistics, and also we wanted to cut down the overall cost, especially for the HQ. And then that's the reason why we want to open the shop to cover up the HQ costs, right? At the end of the day, we getting people because we got more shop to run. So it's not really justifying at the end of the day. And what about if we close the shop, but we can't fire the people? Immediately. So we really need to be careful, especially when you want to expand the shop. The place where you want to open.
Talking about the location, let's talk a bit about rents in Singapore. How have you seen the rental market move for F&B shop frontages? Is it still high demand? Has the rent been rising rapidly after COVID, like how the manpower costs have been rising? And the responses from the support from the landlords, if any?
I don't really see any support from the landlord, to be honest. Especially for the private equity. The rent is never been dropped. It's keep on increasing every year. But at the same time, a lot of shop is closed down, right? So I believe there is so many empty units around. So at some point, I believe the rentals should be stabilized, should be maintained, because we can explain to the landlord that F&B business is overall is not doing well, so we need your help so we try ask them to understand. So one of I think the next lease will be for our sushi restaurant, and then I'll try to negotiate in that way, like everywhere F&B is closing down, so we need your help to, not saying that cannot increase, but understand the situation. We'll see how it goes, but we are like more confident to negotiate this time.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, because we do know some landlords who seem to have a softer approach to their tenants nowadays because of the pressures of F&B business being slower. They do not want to see a fast turnover of tenants within their properties because that will cause a lot of disruption to human traffic.
Yeah.
Changes that will be unfamiliar to consumers, and that would indirectly impact the value of their properties in the long run, and of course the rental that they can command in the future. So I think a lot of the landlords that we know, that we've spoken to, from the large malls to the individual owners of shop fronts, it seems to us in 2024 starting, they had a softer stance to their tenants. But as well as some of the popular malls, of course, are having heavy demand from foreign entrants into Singapore, foreign F&B players coming to Singapore, because they are facing even more challenges back home. They find that it's a bargain.
And Ray, what have you seen? Sorry, go for it, Yuta.
I believe that the mall has more high demand compared to the shop house and all. So yeah, I understand that part, especially when you got into the Orchard area and all, right? So they can't really drop the market prices.
And Ray, you've worked with a lot of founders and owners in this space too. on that question of, things that people overlook when they're scaling their business, going to the next outlet, and tips or advice you have?
I think when you scale beyond a certain stage, it's critical to look at efficiencies that you can gain through certain strategies. I think one of the key strategies that it was previously deployed by the larger F&B players, but now the smaller F&B players are also deploying this strategy, will be the central kitchen, to focus some of the routine tasks to a location where rental per square feet is a lot lower, where you have a group of staff that is well trained and efficient on the daily routine. That will increase a lot of productivity. So Singapore government is all about productivity now, right? Reducing the space that you have in the outlet for a kitchen. You have smaller kitchens now, which means that you have more sittings. These are some of the strategies that a lot of the newer F&B players have deployed, as well as experienced players who have opened new outlets through expansion. So reducing kitchen space is quite key, I would say. Kitchen staff, like we talk about manpower, kitchen staff is a lot higher demand because it's of the specialized skills that they have. It's harder to find. They cost more than your front of house staff. So again, this would benefit players who are expanding beyond, I would say, 2 outlets or 3 outlets. Yeah. So we have even seen some traditional F&B, for example, chicken rice stores, chicken rice chains that have started central kitchen, which previously is unheard of. If 10 years ago you would say that a traditional dish like this, like chicken rice, is prepared in a central kitchen, nobody will accept it. But now the acceptance are really there because almost all F&B are using central kitchen or cloud kitchens nowadays.
Yeah, innovation. Bring me to an interesting question. Yuto, Ray, what are your thoughts? You've probably all seen examples where somebody's really passionate about their brand, their concept. They really believe in it and they've had some initial success. But what have you seen over the years, though, that tells you what kind of businesses, what kind of platforms are scale businesses and what are passion projects? Passion projects can be fun, can be exciting, but they necessarily always translate into big, long-term, commercially viable businesses that can scale. So I'm curious to see what you've learned on those journeys. You must have seen some examples. What could you share with our audience today about how to spot the difference between those two concepts?
Maybe I can go first. So previously, I think all of you would know that previously I was in one of the international banks, ran quite a big team there. What I usually joke about with my staff is don't go open a cafe after your banking career, because then you'll lose all your money. That's what all the professionals that made their money do. They open a bar, they open a cafe, they open a restaurant, but you are taking this as a passion project, as a fun project, as a hobby, right? It's not your rice bowl, so to speak, in Chinese, right? Meaning that this is not something you do for a living. You don't understand this trade. So you would not have a good chance of success, I would say. And historically, it's been proven so. You can ask around professionals who are of another trade who decides to go into F&B. First, they will get the shock of their life, how F&B is difficult, it's tough, long hours, difficult people, difficult staff to manage, okay? And then they realize that the overheads are so high. Expensive rent, expensive materials, expensive salaries, and their pricing strategies are all wrong, right? They don't make money at the end of the day. They eat into their savings to continue running it because they feel that it might turn over in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. They will build a loyal base of customers. But these are all falsehoods. It's a dream that never comes true, and the day where they finish burning their savings, they go back to their old professions, right? So that's all I have to say about passion projects or hobbies that you go into in F&B. Yuto?
The F&B industry, was Ray mentioned, is very tough to do as your for living. Yeah, especially for the cafe. That is so much of competitors. So if you just do for fun, then go ahead, but you don't expect the big income coming in from that. The volume, the scheme is too small to get the high income. So one of the lady posted the business, the bakery. She wants to do the bakery shop in Singapore, and then proposed one to investor that whether she want to willing to invest, and he wants the capital about 300,000 about there. And then I help her and then come up with business proposal on how much we can get the money back. Very tough. Because the bakery is only one shop of the bakery, right? How to make the bread so much, and then how much the price you can put on one of the bread. And then we think that maybe maximum we can get $2,000. Every day you can get 2,000. That's the max. You can't do $5,000, $6,000 because you can't produce. It's realistically, it's not really good as for living, because if you want more income, but as you already say, if you want farm because you like the bakery, that's your dream that you want to do your own bakery shop, then go ahead, yeah. But it's tough, and then
I want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, Vito, that people, it's very exciting, it's very fun, it's meaningful, but actually many people who go into this, they don't have training in cost control or business plans or how to manage all the licenses, all the compliance issues with operating a restaurant. What kind of advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are passionate to kind of come up the curve on those skill sets?
Maybe Ray, you want to go first?
Okay, maybe I'll just touch on about the bakery, right? I wanted to say there is actually very successful bakeries in Singapore that have been expanding 2-3 outlets every year, okay, major chains, but they are the very low-end chains. So I personally know one of the owners of one of these bakery chains, okay? So they're actively looking out at the heartlands, the HDB heartlands, more away from the CBD, away from Orchard Road and so on, where the rents are a lot lower. They have a lot bigger traffic. The hours are long, yes, but the traffic is consistent throughout the day. And they are taking back, per shop, I would say in a HDB heartland, maybe 10,000 a day. And their cost is extremely low because they have a lot of efficiencies throughout the years, how they can produce different varieties with this pool of ingredients, same pool of ingredients, and they have economies of scales with their suppliers. So again, broad category wise, you would say maybe a bakery or higher class or more expensive bakery would struggle, but then the lower end, the day-to-day, everybody who eats it, people who goes to work, walk past it, buy 2 bread with them, and another coffee, then they go to work every single day. They do that, right? These low-end heartland chains are doing extremely well. They will pick up any shops in any of the heartlands if they don't have a shop there. So if it's available, you will see them there talking to the landlords. They can get a good deal, they will take it. Yeah, just to add on that. Yeah. So sorry, I lost my chain of thought. Ivan, can you repeat what was the? Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Sure. We were talking about how, those who are great at building brands, building passion projects, not necessarily have the skill set to look at things like cost control, licenses, and other aspects of the business that they need to manage. What kind of advice would you have for somebody with a passion, with a dream that wants to build, but doesn't necessarily have expertise in those areas?
I think it's very important to look for a trustworthy consultant, okay? Even our firm, VIVOS, we have been entrusted by many F&B owners to execute certain strategies or certain plans. We have been entrusted by investors to look at market entry into different parts of F&B. Definitely look for a trusted advisor to help you with this. Okay, somebody who is able to display to you their knowledge, and their experience, that they have done this work before. Okay, a lot of people would tell you that, just don't do F&B, but there is definitely an opportunity. Humans got to eat, humans got to dine out, humans got to be entertained, okay? You can't just eat a salad at home every single day, right? You have to go out. So there is still an opportunity. As Yuto put it correctly, certain concepts are doing very well, certain concepts are not, right? There is still money to be made. There's money that consumers want to spend, but they want to spend with value. So at the same time, for yourself, a lot of times as an investor or F&B owner, doesn't mean hiring for the expertise. It actually means finding a consultant or an advisor who can help you with the advice, because these are one-off advice. You pay for it, you're done, you go execute. You don't hire somebody who is expensive and you maintain them on your payroll while you only use their advice once or twice, right? So very important for initial startups in the F&B space is to talk with other industry veterans as well, okay? Go join industry events, okay? And then network, understand how the industry works, who are the reliable suppliers, what are the areas that are doing well, where are the hubs for different cuisines which have a synergy. So very clear example would be like Tanjong Pagar. I'm going a bit sidetracked, but who would think that opening another Korean restaurant will do very well? Which I can tell you, I have a friend who opened another Korean restaurant in Tanjong Pagar last year and did extremely well. So among one of the 20, okay, you think that it's congested, too much competition? That is not true, okay? So you have to be able to spot these opportunities, and
Wow.
and I can tell you, finding a trusted advisor and a consultant, they will be able to give you all these views.
Yeah, I agree as well. It can't be doing the business just because of your passion, right? So you need someone who knows the market. We can't pay much. We can't hire them as your director or managing director because we need the advice, right? We just need the advice. I think the important things as well is the location, where to open. For example, a Korean restaurant where you want to open, I think now is the Tanjong Pagar. Everyone is at the Tanjong Pagar, and they have so many Korean restaurants, right? So the kind of the market, the rental is justifying compared to the market area. That kind of the advice for sure. The people who still new in Singapore market don't know anything about it. They need advice from those consultants. I guess the VIVOS is one of the solution.
Thank you, Yuto. I guess the reality is that this space has a lot of activity, right? Every year there are thousands of people coming into the industry, and there are also thousands of people coming out. So when an owner or founder is getting to that point where they're thinking about an exit or to capitalize or monetize the investment they put into building their business, any advice you have about how to understand what the value of your business is, how to have a realistic expectation, what's possible for selling this business that you've built up over all those years?
I think first of all, you have to pour away all the sweat and tears that you have accumulated over the years, because no buyers care how much you put into it, okay? What the buyers care about is the brand, okay? It's not even the equipment, it's not even the renovation. To a certain extent, it's not even the quality that you deliver, because
Wow. Of course.
Yeah, painful but true.
whoever buys this then has the responsibility to deliver and to execute. A lot of times it's about the brand that you have built over the years, the locations that you have, the relationships that you have with the landlords, the suppliers, of course to a certain extent your loyal customers, but again, brand holds a lot of value. How you should approach this, again, there are only, I would say, a handful of trusted advisors or consultants in Singapore that will be able to give you a reality check, a real view on the industry, how much you're worth, how much the business is worth, and how to exit. Okay, there's a lot of preparation work to be done. Exits doesn't happen 3 months or 6 months time. Sometimes it can go up to 9 months, 12 months time. So if you are in the situation where you are struggling, you're running out of funds, you need to sell it quick, the sharks in the industry will smell this and they will not pay the full value for you. So I would say, if you plan for exit, do it much earlier, before you run out of money, before you get into trouble, okay, before you start closing outlets. Talk to consultants, talk to trusted advisors to formulate a plan, a 6 months, a 9 months, a 12 months plan, and execute it over time. Do the marketing, talk to buyers, talk to investors, and you will realize that would be very helpful to have plenty of time to do so instead of rushing for a sale.
Yeah. What do you think, Yuto? Yeah, really, emphasize exactly what Ray said, right? That it's really heartbreaking at times. You see people building their business, they've poured so much heart and soul into building it, and unfortunately there's that tendency to really hang on and hope, next month will be different, next quarter will be different, wait till the end of the year. And just like Ray said, then you can end up in a situation where you're really quite a desperate seller, or the buyers can sense that things are falling apart and you don't really have much leverage anymore. Really, really important to be realistic about your business and to always try to approach a discussion about sale of your business from a position of some strength, where your business is operating well. So So to be honest, the time to start having those conversations and have realistic conversations is when things soften, not when things get really bad. To be honest, when it gets so difficult, it's very, very heartbreaking, but there are people out there who will be waiting and say, well, it'll be easier to pick this up after a liquidation. It'll be easier to poach the staff than to pay for the business that's going. So if that's in your mind, I think resist the instinct to say, just keep holding on. Maybe it'll turn around next month. Unless you have that financial strength to keep doing that, because it's possible to get good, real, fair values for your business. And when it's a good going concern, not great businesses, but businesses with potential. Others who have similar operations, similar experience, or are interested in expanding using what you've built. But once you get to the point of your business being a sort of a danger case or a bad, a basket case, or it's really in a bad way, then you've really missed that opportunity, which is a real shame. So talk to people who will give you honest, realistic advice. And I think, to be honest, if you get realistic offers, always consider them in this market, in this industry. It's uncommon to see people be extremely generous and make really, really good big bumper offers for your business, unless you're really, really performing very strongly, in which case then you've got a great marketing position. Maybe you look for investors and you partner with those who can support you to grow bigger and bigger. Thinking about the positives as well as some of the challenges we've talked about. So if you're sitting on that gold mine, your friend who you mentioned, Ray, with that Korean restaurant, Korean barbecue, printing money in Tanjong Pagar, and you want to go big, you want to scale up, how would you also find partners who could help you to take that next step and reach that next level in your business?
I think, it is true that it's very important to have partners. It depends on whether you're talking about sleeping partners or managing partners. For expansion wise, to keep up the consistency in service and food, you definitely need a right hand and a left hand man or woman to ensure that the new outlets are well taken care of, have your full attention, and the old outlets doesn't drop in standards. So again, looking out to within your staff strength, anybody to bring up as a senior partner, maybe some equity, maybe some profit sharing. If you're looking for investors, again, talk to consultants and talk to trusted advisors about finding suitable investors for you. I would say at the current climate, pure sleeping investments, sleeping partners into F&B have come down quite a bit. Private equity players are looking at much larger operations to acquire and manage directly. They do not want to take on a stake and have you continue to manage it as status quo. They want it to be fast growing. They want to bring up the EBITDA by lowering costs, driving up revenues. Again, it depends on the type of partners you're looking for, but you definitely need somebody on your side to help you look after the outlets as you expand, to keep an eye to make sure that everything is replicated as the gold standard in your first outlet, and not let the standards drop. Because if that happens, your name get tarnished, your brand has less value over time, and it will slowly fade away because your brand will be chipped away, week by week, month by month, and eventually you'll become worthless. So keeping up the standards is very important. So yes, that point about partners is a key to expansion, and look for people that are capable, not look for people that are your friends or your family or people that your drinking buddy, and don't look for those people. Those people will not help you. Those people will just suck up your time and your funds.
Yeah. I'm sure you probably agree, Yuto, right? That this is a space really where experience and expertise, being in the trenches, having a track record is so important. There are people out there who can run businesses in this space exceptionally well, but they're a rare talent. What's your view in terms of finding partners like that, or finding the right people, the right talent in this industry?
Yeah, I think if you want to expand to another shop, look into what kind of the target, For example, for the high-end restaurant, you can't really keep on opening the new store because we have only one chef, and then they all come to that chef. So we can't have the split him into half, right? So the Monday to Wednesday he's working here. We can't do that, right? So it's important what you want to do for the next shop. Duplicate the same restaurant, or do you want to do something different style but is used or look after by this restaurant, whatever, that kind of the concept maybe works. But if you think that can be done, and then you think that can make the profit, then I don't know whether do you need a partner or not, because if you get the partner, you need to involve him to to discuss further. So if you have more people, then it might have a problem occur. But of course, if you financial part, if you need the funds, then definitely you need a partner, but you need to be carefully select the person who you can trust, like what you mentioned. Yeah. So it's what kind of the restaurant you want to do for the next shop. That is a key, to be honest.
Yeah. I think we've talked a lot about partners and scaling and growing. If you're lucky enough to find one of those great partners with experience and investing in your business, or maybe you're selling part of the business off, very often they will, there will be terms and conditions, there will be agreements, there will be earnouts, there'll be thresholds and KPIs. What experience could you share with people who are in that situation and wondering, okay, how do I navigate this? How do I figure out what's the right agreement to make, right terms? And, maybe they thought it was as simple as, I get the money in, or I sell my business, but actually they're now dealing with a very complicated agreement with a lot of terms and different criteria that they need to hit. How can they navigate that? What kind of experience can we help share?
Where you want to start?
Sorry, I was just thinking about something else, so I got lost. So it's a very long, I didn't catch the question, sorry, I didn't.
Very long question message.
So if you're lucky enough to be in the situation of getting investment in from, let's say, one of those great PE funds into your business to help you scale, or they're taking over your business at an exit, how do you navigate the terms and conditions, the criteria, earnout rules that are usually part of these type of agreements?
I think very important, right? Seller needs representation. The seller needs to know who is familiar with this. Whether the seller is using a bank to represent a consultant from his accounting firm, a big four, or independent consultant like VIVOS, who has done transactions before. It must be somebody who has done transactions before, who has experience, who has seen the agreements being drafted and negotiated and closed and completed. And it's very important because then what are the norms in the industry? What are the norms to accept? There will be terms that surprise you as a first-time seller, but it's actually a norm in the industry. There will be also buyers who will be cheeky to put in things that are not the norm, complicated agreements that ties you in, to basically disadvantage you in receiving payments in the future in your earnouts. So don't save the money and go on this yourself, or just have a lawyer to interpret it to you. Have somebody with commercial experience negotiating. Have somebody who has actual experience representing another seller to negotiate this for you, to look this through in a commercial sense, in a commercial view, not from a legal view or not from a financial accounting view. Numbers and terms and clauses can be easily interpreted by the lawyers and the accountants, but commercial knowledge is something that I would say will be lacking in some of these professionals. And then you need someone like a consultant or a trusted advisor like VIVOS to come in to tell you what can be done and what should not be done. What you can accept, what you should reject. If the terms are not good enough, then we look for another buyer, right? Don't fall into a trap where at the end of the day you sell this business at close to nothing. After 2 years, when you tally up the numbers, you realize you didn't even take away that much from selling this business at all, which is a lot of the cases. So talk to a consultant, talk to an advisor as early as possible, even if you have not started the process of deciding whether to sell or not. Have a view, have a conversation. It's free, right? Engage the consultant when you are seriously ready, and I can tell you they will deliver a lot of value for you.
And Yuto, you've been through the process a few times yourself. A lot of owners are surprised at the process of due diligence. They weren't expecting it to be so complicated, so detailed, so many things being checked. And they kind of understood their business to be simple, and then it gets very painful at the end in this process. Any tips you have for parties who might be beginning that journey?
It's not that easy to understand the business, right? And then just jump in for a couple months and they won't know the history of 10 years we run the company, or 10 years, 5 years, whatever. So the key that what Ray mentioned also, that is to find the right person, the core person who knows the business in the company. And then definitely you need to keep working with the person. So that kind of few maybe consultant can help to look who is the key person, right? Or it's not that it's a high position, it's a key to run the operation, so that after the handover still can run the business as usual, right? But if you take out the key person, it will collapse easily. Yeah. So they get the right person, and you need to learn that what's the history behind that. Won't get it like in a month time. You will need some time, to understand.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, Yuto, because people like yourself, right? All the value is kept here. It's not kept in your books or your journals. You have not written it. You have not typed it down anywhere. Everything is in your head. So yeah, I 100% agree. Keeping the key person, especially somebody like Yuto in your organization.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah. A book. Yeah.
And leverage on their experience throughout the whole due diligence process is key, because there are a lot of questions that will come your way that you as an owner or as an investor, you have not been there day to day for the last 5 years, 10 years. You will not know how it works, okay? And only somebody who will have operational experience day to day will be able to answer those questions.
And then I guess, coming towards the end of our conversation, and what keeps you coming back to the industry, Yuto? What keeps the fire in your belly despite the challenges, despite the difficulties that we've talked about? What do you love about it? What lights you up about this space?
To be honest, wow, I'm just helping the owner, and he owns the few restaurant in Singapore. So I helping out to look after, because he can oversee all the business, right? So he needs someone else who is trusted to look after, and my passion is more in helping him out, right? So, but after I worked for 10 years, then I found that the F&B business kind of interesting, because you can see the people, right? The customer coming and spend the money, or why this customer come and spend the money, because they're happy, right? So we like to see that kind of the lifestyle, people, lively, it's not like a sitting office looking to the numbers. It's more like an activity, right? So, and then that is one of I think that's maybe one of the reason I like it, what I'm doing now.
Yeah. And Ray, to be honest, I'm sure there's other industries which are easier to do transactions and to help people find investments or do deals. What's drawn you into it over the years to build up a specialism in this space where things can be complicated? They're not so straightforward.
I think it started from the banking days, where I come across a few F&B players, some larger than others. And over time, I've learned somewhat the industry, how it operates, what are the pain points, what keeps the owner up at night, thinking about staff, thinking about rent, thinking about the next concept for their next outlet. And coincidentally, my circle of friends have also been a lot around F&B, at a different scale as well, even hotels, Chinese restaurants, Korean restaurants, Japanese restaurants, coffee shops, things like that. So I do have different perspectives of different types of F&B operations, which are vastly different. Enables me to also have those conversations with the owners, to talk shop with them. So then we have that connection immediately. Therefore, the trust starts building, and over time they will entrust myself or the firm to act on their behalf on certain issues or certain transactions. Yeah, so that's how it came across. So it's by accident, I'll say, that I have the F&B knowledge being pushed to me, day and night at work with my friends and everything.
Yeah. It's trust is really important in this industry as much as everywhere else, so maybe even more. And I guess we all, as you said earlier, Ray, we all have to eat. We all, love to hang out and socialize with those loved ones and friends in our lives. We all know this feeling or the excitement of discovering a new concept, a new delicious recipe, a new favorite place. We all have those special places that we've gone back to over the years that mean something to us, that always draw us back in. So I think it's an industry we can all really relate to. It's very much a human industry in a world that's getting more and more technological. But Yuto, Ray, thank you so much for your time today, for sharing generously, for giving us the inside scoop, sharing all the battle stories. It was a great conversation. Really appreciate it, and I hope it'll be useful to those future founders, growers, owners out there building their empires in the F&B space. And I wish them all well. We're looking forward to champions and more exciting ideas and refreshed concepts in this space in Singapore and the region. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ivan. Thanks, Yuto. Bye-bye.